Salut, tu comprends ce que je dis? Parce que je suis pas sûre que ça passe à cette vitesse, tu vois. C'est le genre de français qu'on parle au quotidien en fait. Mais t'inquiète, je vais te donner des trucs. Did you understand any of that? Don't worry, most French learners don't either. And it's completely normal. You've been studying French for months, maybe even years or decades. You know your grammar. You have memorized vocabulary lists, you can read French articles, but then you try to have a conversation with an actual French person and suddenly it's like they're speaking a completely different language. They seem to be talking at light speed, skipping half the sounds and using words you've never heard before. It's frustrating, isn't it? But here is the truth. It's something most French teachers never tell you. It's not that you don't know enough French, it's that you know the wrong kind of French. I have been teaching French to English speakers for more than 10 years, and I have noticed the same problem with almost all my students. They learn textbook French, but then they're completely lost when they hear real-life French. I know how it feels. It seems like French people are deliberately speaking too fast just to confuse you, but that's not the case at all. By the end of this video, you will understand 80% more spoken French with just a simple few patterns. I'm going to share with you my 3-layer system that will transform your listening comprehension. Here is what you can expect to learn today. If you're a beginner, you will recognize when French sounds are different from what you have learned. If you're at an intermediate level, you will start catching words you already know but you couldn't hear before. And if you're advanced, you will finally start to understand natural conversations without mental translation. Are you ready? C'est parti. The first trick to understand fast-spoken French is realizing that we don't pronounce every letter. We strategically eat certain sounds. This isn't because we're lazy, it's about efficiency. It helps us communicate faster. Every language does this in its spoken form, including English. Like, think about how want to becomes wanna, or going to becomes gonna. What does it look like in French? That's the question. In natural fast French, the letter E often disappears completely, especially in the middle of the word. Let's look at some examples. Instead of je me suis réveillé, je me suis réveillé, you will often hear je me suis réveillé, je me suis réveillé. This is common in one-syllable words like je, te, me, etc. It also happens when the E is inside longer words. For example, boulangerie, boulangerie becomes boulangerie, boulangerie. In textbook French, you would say petit, petit, but in fast-spoken French, it's more like petit, petit. Let's practice together. I will say each word or phrase both ways and you can repeat after me. Le petit déjeuner. Le petit déjeuner. La semaine prochaine. La semaine prochaine. Je le revois demain. Or it can also be je le revois demain. That's even more difficult another time. Je le revois demain. Good. Did you notice how they dropped those sounds? This happens all the time in natural French conversations. When certain sounds come together in fast speech, they transform into completely different sounds. Take for example, oui and non. They become ouais and non. They're more informal, less firm as well. Je suis, first loses its E to become je suis. But then the J and the S together transform into a sh sound. So it becomes suis. Like je suis là for I'm here becomes je suis là. Repeat after me, je suis là. Good. Tu often loses its U before a vowel. Most times, tu es for you are, and tu as for you have, tu as, become just te and ta. These are used a lot. Sometimes we even cut a whole word. That's what happens to il in the impersonal expression il faut. il faut, for we need to or someone needs to, and il y a, there is or there are, il y a. These simply become faut and ya. Faut and ya. Let's practice these transformations together, including what we have seen earlier. Je suis en retard. I'm late, I'm running late. Je suis en retard becomes je suis en retard. Je suis en retard. Je suis en retard. Il faut que je parte avant 8 heures. I have to leave before 8. Il faut que je parte avant 8 heures becomes faut que je parte avant 8 heures. Il y a des bouchons sur la route. There is traffic on the road becomes il y a des bouchons sur la route. Il y a des bouchons sur la route. This is actually why subtitles and audio often don't match in French movies or shows. They write the formal way, but they speak the natural way. French speakers love to shorten common expressions by cutting off parts of words. Here are some everyday examples. Instead of saying d'accord, d'accord, we often just say dac for okay, I agree. Dac. À plus tard becomes just à plus. And you can notice that the S is pronounced in this expression. We might even just write à plus in text messages. Le petit déjeuner, breakfast, becomes petit-déj, petit-déj. We can also shorten random common nouns. Let's practice saying these shortened forms. Tu m'appelles pendant mon petit déjeuner. You're calling me during my breakfast becomes tu m'appelles pendant mon petit-déj. Tu m'appelles pendant mon petit-déj. Je suis encore en pyjama. Je suis en vacances jusqu'à la semaine prochaine. I'm still in my pajamas. I'm in holiday until next week. Becomes je suis encore en pige. Je suis en vac jusqu'à la semaine pro. Je suis encore en pige. Je suis en vac jusqu'à la semaine pro. D'accord, allez, à plus tard. Okay, then we'll talk later. Becomes dac, allez, à plus. Dac, allez, à plus. Of course, we don't always cut them all, especially in the same sentence. All these are examples to show you how it works. How would this phrase sound in fast French? Il y a un petit restaurant sympathique dans ma rue. There's a nice little restaurant in my street. Oh, and 2 words in this sentence often get cut in the end. Can you guess how? Think about it. Applying our patterns. The answer is il y a un petit resto sympa dans ma rue. Il y a un petit resto sympa dans ma rue. Did you get it? The il in il y a disappears. Petit becomes petit and restaurant and sympathique get shortened to resto and sympa. Both are very common abbreviations in spoken French. The second layer of understanding fast French is realizing that native speakers simplify grammar in conversation, and you should as well. There aren't mistakes or bad French. They're the actual rules of spoken French. Once you know them, you will understand so much more. In textbook French, negations use ne, pas around the verb. But in real life, the ne almost always disappears. Look at these examples. Instead of je ne sais pas, you will hear je sais pas. Je sais pas. And as we've seen before, this quickly sounds like je sais pas. That's not something we would write, but that's how it sounds in everyday spoken French. Je n'ai pas compris becomes j'ai pas compris. We removed the ne, remember? J'ai pas compris. This one is a special expression. It has fun grammar. Ne t'inquiète pas, don't worry, not only loses the ne, but often the pas as well, becoming simply t'inquiète. Let's practice these natural negations. Il n'y a pas de problème. There is no problem becomes, what do you think? Y a pas de problème. Y a pas de problème. Je ne sais pas si c'est le bon restaurant. I don't know if it's the right restaurant becomes je sais pas si c'est le bon resto. Je sais pas si c'est le bon resto. Did you get this one? Je n'ai pas tout compris, mais ne t'inquiète pas, ça va aller. I didn't understand everything, but don't worry, it will be fine. Becomes, can you guess? J'ai pas tout compris, mais t'inquiète, ça va aller. J'ai pas tout compris, mais t'inquiète, ça va aller. A good tip. In natural conversation, using the ne often sounds overly formal or stiff. If you want to sound more natural, try dropping it. In textbook French, questions are formed by inverting the subject and verb or using est-ce que. In real life, we just use the statement with rising intonation. For example, connais-tu ce restaurant? Do you know this restaurant? This is very formal. We are inverting the verb and the subject, and here when we're using tu, it sounds stiff. But it's correct grammar, it's what you learned at school. If you're passing exams, use that, it's great. Est-ce que tu connais ce restaurant? Do you know this restaurant? Using est-ce que at the beginning of a question is less formal. We often use it inside questions starting with a word like how or why, etc. But it's still longer than necessary. So for a yes-no question, we don't use it much. No, in real, everyday spoken French, we would ask, tu connais ce resto? Tu connais ce resto? It's like the affirmative sentence, tu connais ce restaurant, simply with a question mark at the end and in everyday spoken French. Tu connais ce resto? Do you know this restaurant? Tu connais ce resto? Do you know this restaurant? That's the question, my voice goes up. Tu connais ce resto? Tu connais ce resto? Let's practice transforming formal questions into natural ones. Est-ce que les invités sont arrivés? Did the guests arrive? Est-ce que les invités sont arrivés? How would you transform this? It would be les invités sont arrivés? Les invités sont arrivés? Es-tu là? Are you here? This becomes t'es là? T'es là? Comment as-tu fait ça? How did you do that? You might hear comment est-ce que t'as fait ça? That's okay, sometimes used. Comment est-ce que t'as fait ça? But the more informal way would be to say comment t'as fait ça? Comment t'as fait ça? Comment t'as fait ça? Did you know? French people very rarely use nous, as we, as a subject pronoun in casual conversation. Instead, we use on with third-person singular conjugation. Using nous in casual conversation sounds like you're giving a formal speech. On is much more natural for everyday talk. For instance, instead of nous allons au restaurant, you will hear on va au resto. On va au resto. Nous avons mangé, we ate, becomes on a mangé. On a mangé. Let's practice converting nous phrases to on phrases. Nous voulons voyager becomes, can you guess? For we want to travel? On veut voyager. On veut voyager. Nous revoyons-nous la semaine prochaine? Shall we meet next week? Becomes on se revoit la semaine prochaine? On se revoit la semaine prochaine. Here we have no inversion. Nous nous revoyons becomes on se revoit for complicating reasons around the verb pronominal se revoir. You don't have to remember that, that's okay. Remember no inversion and the use of on. On se revoit la semaine prochaine. Tu es fatigué, mais nous sommes motivés. That's tricky. You're tired, but we are full of motivation. Tu es fatigué, mais nous sommes motivés. Becomes t'es fatigué, mais nous, on est motivés. Here, the first nous is used as a contrast. It's a common turn of phrase in French, like moi, je pense que, as I think that, or lui, il veut, he wants to, or nous, on veut, oui, etc. It's a very interesting sentence here. Let's do a quick quiz. How would these formal sentence transform into natural spoken French? Nous ne comprenons pas ce que tu as fait. We don't understand what you did. Nous ne comprenons pas ce que tu as fait. Think about our patterns. Yeah, take some time. The answer is, on comprend pas ce que tu as fait. On comprend pas ce que tu as fait. Did you catch all the changes? Nous becomes on. The ne disappears. Ce que contracts into ce que. And tu as becomes ta. That's it. Easy. Now we're getting to the words and expressions that instantly mark you as understanding real French. These are rarely taught in textbooks, but used in virtually every French conversations. French speakers use these little words to sound natural and give themselves time to think. Is our version of your or but hesitating. Ben or ba is similar to well at the beginning of a sentence. Ben or ba. Donc means so and is used constantly, just like in English. Donc. En fait means actually or in fact. En fait. Quoi is used at the end of sentences like you know or like. Voilà means that's it or there you go. Let's listen to some natural sentences with these fillers. Je sais pas en fait. C'est compliqué quoi, voilà. Well, I don't know actually. It's complicated, you know. That's it. These little words make your French sound more natural, not perfect. These expressions are used constantly but rarely taught in class. C'est pas terrible. C'est pas terrible. Despite what it sounds like, this means it's not great. C'est pas terrible. Grave literally means serious, but used to mean totally or absolutely. Grave. Je kiffe is slang for I really like. It's youth French for millennials. C'est chaud is literally it's hot, but it means that's difficult or intense. Let's practice these expressions in context. Ce film est vraiment pas terrible. Do you know what it means? Ce film est vraiment pas terrible. This movie is really not great. It's a terrible movie. Tu veux un gâteau? Grave. Do you want a cookie? Oh yeah, totally. Je dois finir ça avant demain, c'est chaud. Do you know that? Je dois finir ça avant demain, c'est chaud. I have to finish this before tomorrow. That's not going to be easy. In casual speech, many common words are replaced with more informal versions in everyday slang. There are thousands of them, of course. Let's see 4 of them with a particularly wide variety of slang alternatives. L'argent is money, l'argent. But we also say le fric, le blé, les thunes. La voiture is the car, but we also say la caisse and la bagnole. Le travail is work, but we also say le taf and le boulot. Un mec is a man, but we also say un type, un gars, un mec. Une femme is a woman, but we also say une fille, une nana, or une meuf. But that's a bit youth French. Let's practice. How would you say cet homme me doit de l'argent? This man owes me money. How would you say that? We can say ce type me doit du blé, for example. Ce type me doit du blé. Vas-tu au travail en voiture? Are you going to work by car? Are you driving to work? We can say tu vas au taf en bagnole? Tu vas au taf en bagnole? That's a bit too informal, honestly. Be careful, use these sparingly at first. They're casual, but they're very powerful. Let's do a quick quiz now. How would this formal phrase sound in French slang? J'aime beaucoup le style de cette femme. I really like this woman's style. J'aime beaucoup le style de cette femme. We would say, je kiffe le style de cette meuf. Je kiffe le style de cette meuf. Now comes the fun part, putting all 3 layers together to decode and practice real French. This is where everything clicks and suddenly fast French becomes clear. Let's start with a simple phrase and apply one transformation from each layer. In formal written French, we would write Je ne peux pas venir au travail aujourd'hui. I cannot come to work today. Je ne peux pas venir au travail aujourd'hui. In spoken French, if we want to write it, we would say Je peux pas venir au boulot aujourd'hui. Okay? But in spoken French, when we say it, we would say, by eating some Je peux pas venir au boulot aujourd'hui. Je peux pas venir au boulot aujourd'hui. Try to concentrate on recognizing these patterns when listening. Don't worry about producing all of them right away. Now, let's try a medium complexity conversational exchange with multiple transformations. We have person A speaking formally. Est-ce que vous avez compris ce que nous avons expliqué hier? Did you understand what we explained yesterday? In more natural French, this would become Vous avez compris ce qu'on a expliqué hier? Vous avez compris ce qu'on a expliqué hier? If we have a person B answering in a formal way, this person would say Oui, nous avons compris, mais nous avons encore quelques questions. Yes, we understood, but we still have a few questions. Oui, nous avons compris, mais nous avons encore quelques questions. This is what you might have learned at school. But in a natural way, we would say Ouais, on a compris, mais on a encore quelques questions. Ouais, on a compris, mais on a encore quelques questions. Let's try to repeat it naturally. Vous avez compris ce qu'on a expliqué hier? Vous avez compris ce qu'on a expliqué hier? I know it's hard. Ouais, on a compris, mais on a encore quelques questions. Ouais, on a compris, mais on a encore quelques questions. One last time. Ouais, on a compris, mais on a encore quelques questions. That's not easy, but it's a good place to try. At your level, don't try to use all these patterns at once. Start with the ones that feel most comfortable. Let's break down all the transformations happening in this short clip from the Lupin Netflix show.
Il ressemble à quoi ce type?
Il était noir, il avait un impair beige, mal rasé, mince.
Ah ça pute! C'est ta faute! C'est le mec du train! C'est qui ce mec, putain?
Il ressemblait à quoi ce type? What did that guy look like? Here he says, il ressemblait à quoi? We have no inversion and they use ce type. Il ressemblait à quoi ce type? Il était noir, il avait un impair beige, il mal rasé, mince. He was black with a beige raincoat, he badly shaved, slim. This is correct French because he's using short sentences but also because this character has less emotional investment in the scene. Hassan putain, c'est de ta faute, c'est le mec du train. C'est qui ce mec putain? Lots of swearing here. Hassan, damn it, it's your fault, it's the guy from the train. Who is this guy for Christ's sake? Putain is an impolite swear word but widely used in French with a wide range of application. I refrain from teaching you rude French swear words because you will learn them quickly enough on your own. Here we have c'est ta faute. C'est ta faute, c'est le mec du train. And c'est qui ce mec? For qui est cet homme? We have no inversion and we have informal grammar here. That's very interesting. Now that you can see the patterns, doesn't it seem much clearer? Let's try to shadow this speech at natural speed.
Il ressemble à quoi ce type?
Il était noir, il avait un impair beige, mal rasé, mince.
Ah ça pute! C'est ta faute! C'est le mec du train! C'est qui ce mec, putain?
Now let's see how to actually use these skills in your everyday French learning. For instance, when watching French movies or series. Start with French subtitles, not English ones. Look for the differences between what's written and what's said. Focus on recognizing the patterns that we just learned. For listening practice with podcasts or radio programs, you can begin with clear speech like news programs before moving on to casual interviews or talk shows because these are much more difficult to understand. Try to repeat what you hear, imitating the natural rhythm of fast-spoken French. When you're talking with native speakers, focus on catching keywords at the beginning and end of sentences. Use some of these shortcuts yourself to train your ear. Ask them about slang terms they're using. Start listening for these patterns today and you will be amazed at how much more you will understand. With regular practice, everything will become clearer. You will finally break through that frustrating plateau of French learning. The biggest challenge when learning French is not knowing your exact level and what you should be practicing next. Without a clear structure, you might spend years studying without making real progress towards fluency. That's why I created the weekly practice plan. With this free resource, you will get a clear assessment of your current level and specific exercises tailored to your needs. You will find exactly what to practice each day of the week, how to overcome common obstacles, and a simple method to track your improvement. Join over 30,000 French learners who've already downloaded this free resource. Click the link in the description and start your structured French practice today. Back to the video. Et toi? What strategy do you use to improve your real French comprehension? Give me recommendations in the comments, they are always lovely to find. For example, je regarde Lupin avec des sous-titres en français, je kiffe. I watched the Lupin series with French subtitles and I love it. And now, if you enjoyed this lesson or learned something new, please share it with a Francophile friend. You can talk about it together afterwards. You will learn much more if you have social support from your friend. Allez, à plus!